that's one thing that was always like the balance in our house is my mother is very expressive and demands that you are as well. And then my dad is like, yep, nope, that's good. You know, very, like kind of limited. So, like one of their things, like in, I think it's common with a lot of Latin people, but like if you eat food with us and you like, if you go, my mom goes, how is it? And you're like, good. She goes, you don't like it. Like that's what she would say if you said it was good, because good is like a polite way of being like, it's okay. And if you go, no, I really do like it. She goes, well, then say it. You express yourself. and it's very, she wants you to be like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah. Oh, I cannot tell you. And then she goes, that's good. I like this. I like how you express yourself. So she wants you to be effusive, you know, otherwise.
Yeah. That's amazing. Was she a good cook?
She used to cook quite a bit. I mean, now there's like this kind of running joke in the household of, you know, about how it's just, she must have forgotten. She doesn't really do it anymore. But then, you know, with her and her, she's 75, you know, she'll be like, I cooked for 40 years for your children, for your father. I'm done cooking. So she doesn't really do that much anymore. But then every once in a while, you know, if I ask her for something, I'm visiting, she'll make some crazy, awesome dish. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed her cooking. Huh?
What would she make when you were a kid?
There was, you know, there's like kind of the regular rotation of things, but I mean, I love, like, there's a few really good Peruvian dishes. Lomo saltado is one where it's like beef strips. It's a very popular dish. There's beef, rice, really authentic way is choclo, which is a corn with like the huge kernels. Corn comes from Peru, and potatoes. Some people don't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this type of corn comes from there, and the potato is from Peru. It actually, you know, spread from there when the savage Spaniards came and raped and pillaged my people. But
and made a deal with the Irish.
That's right, and then gave them some potatoes, and you know, the rest is history. But yeah, I mean, there was like the beef stew stuff, ají de gallina, another like a chicken dish from Peru, but I feel like we had like, you know, a rotation of like beef dishes. There was all the Italian stuff was pretty basic for our house. Like there was always a rotation of like a spaghetti and meatballs or a lasagna, but never like you know, when you go to certain households and they like really do hardcore Italian dishes. We just had that kind of stuff, but then. Back then, my mother loves sweets. She's one of these people, she weighs 105 pounds, and you're like, all you eat is sugar. How is this possible? Like, all you eat. She eats panettone, which is like Italian sweetbread, and she just, like, she would make merengues, like people usually know that's like that, a pastry, a puffed pastry that has like that, I don't even know how to describe it, like it breaks open and it's like soft.
Yeah.
That's a meringue.
Yeah, it's like all light and airy.
Yes, very airy. She make merengues, turrones de Doña Pepa, which is like a dough that's rolled into these long, like tube-like dough, and then it has this cream, like this dark basting over it. I'm doing a horrible job of describing, but all these like sweets. I mean, she just loves sweets, and she would bake those when I was a kid quite a bit. She would make her own marmalade, you know, like jam.
Which,
holy shit, I'd always been like kind of indifferent towards jelly and jams. Like I wasn't opposed to it. I wasn't a fan. And then one day I smelled it. I'm like, what is this? I smell it. And she's making strawberry marmalade and with just like, I don't know, like just bags of sugar into this thing. And, you know, you take a bite and I was like, oh my God. And then she was like, you put this on some toast with my cheese and this is a great breakfast. And that's how she would like start her day. With like 800 grams of sugar.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. And she's a healthy it's ridiculous. Like she has no business having her health, but she does.
And when you would travel to Peru, did was that common with the other people there? Is that just the way the Peruvians eat? Are they?
It's a really interesting way they eat. Also, by the way, ceviche. A lot of people don't know because everybody does a ceviche. Ceviche is a Peruvian dish, and then all the spin-offs that you've seen are all a take on what they do. So that's another. That was something I had a lot as a kid was ceviche, but
it's so funny when you describe when you take credit for the Peruvian stuff. It's exactly what my whole family does with Italian stuff.
Oh yeah,
everyone's like, yeah. They make bread, but we did it first.
Of course,
there's such a pride,
There's such a pride. I think there's also like if you're Italian, it's like almost like people know to like Italian things. Like it's not like this.
Yeah,
but like with Peru, there is such this complex of you're like you got to make a point to tell people some of the things we've done, because like everyone's going to be like, yeah, we know the Incas. What else? Like anything else? So they're really like driving it home that this is ours. But yes, every culture the same way.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, the food there. Food it's really. I just always loved like, for me as an American, like everything for me is all about breakfast. I'm a big breakfast guy. I love breakfast food and American breakfast foods. And a big breakfast for me is just a dream. I love it. I love having it all.
Yeah.
I'll eat eggs 15 different ways. I love the breakfast meats. I love it. I love the sweets. The whole thing is like just the best. Down there,
heaven.
Breakfast is almost non-existent. I mean, you go down to, first of all, everybody has fucking servants. It's just like the norm in Latin America. They just all have these people like serving you, and you're like, this is the best, dude. Why can't we have this? But
like regardless of how wealthy you are.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Like somebody who's a secretary at an office goes home and has somebody cleaning for them. It's just,
right.
There's just such. I mean, it's because there's obviously a huge gap in like income and there's a whole host of reasons why that's the reality in a lot of parts of the world. But one of the things when you wake up for breakfast, you go downstairs. What we would have mostly down there would be there'd be slices of bread, slices of meat, and cheese. So a common thing would be like you grab a piece of bread, a turkey slice, and a slice of cheese, and like that's it. That like they'd be like, that's breakfast. You're like, wait, what? But then I'm like, is this the appetizer? Like, no, that's it. That's breakfast.
I just picture you so sad, just sitting there with that in your hand.
Sad.
Like, all right.
I'm sitting there. I'm going, what about pancakes? Yeah, just so sad.
What's my waffles?
I want some more sugar. Nothing. But then lunch, like a lot of parts of the world, is a showstopper down there. Lunch is where it's at. So even if you're like at school, at work, you could go home and there would be like 4 and 5 course lunches where
wow,
it's a production. Like you sit at a table. I mean, a lot of times I sat at a table that was, decked out, like that you would like when you're having guests over for dinner. That was a regular thing for lunch. So fully decorated table and like
jeez.
And really a heavy lunch. That's like the big meal. And it's supposed to, like, I kind of like the logic of it. They're like, well, it's like middle of the day. And then I never thought of it before because I was so used to like modest lunches are kind of the norm, and I would say in the States. And then, dinner is the showstopper. But down there, they would be like, yeah, but dinner's before bed. Why would you want a huge dinner? And then you go like, I don't know, because we're fat. Like, that's just what we do.
Because we don't think of things.
Yeah, I never stopped to think of your logical point. But so dinner would be like a much more reasonable meal, like something smaller, like almost compared to like what we think of lunch here, like just hey, small piece of whatever chicken and then a little salad, and they're like, that's dinner. But lunches would be elaborate, man. I mean, elaborate. Just
so that means someone in the house was working on that all morning.
Absolutely, yeah. It was like you would have your breakfast, and leave for the day at, let's say, 8:30 in the morning or something. And from that moment until, 1, somebody was doing a lot of work in the kitchen. Yeah. For like 4 or 5 hours.
And that would be like those beef dishes and things that you were talking
Oh,
about?
yeah. Like beef dishes, rice, fish, and they might bring you like a soup with, vegetables and meat or something for like a first dish, and then rice, chicken, shrimp, and some seafood thing, and that would come after that. And then there would be like a dessert, and it would be multiple dishes, and you were like, holy shit. And then they're like, yeah, a lot of people take a nap right now. And you're like, yeah, I can see why. This is a nappy decent food. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I know, because you think about the way we do it, and you have like a little salad or something small for lunch, and still at 2:00, you're doing everything you can to stay on your feet.
Everything, yes. And like you can feel it, like it's, heavy eyes and yeah. I mean, when I did a semester abroad in Spain, and I lived like with an old lady, and she would command me to nap after lunch. She was like, go to the room and take a nap. I'm like, oh, I have work to do. She was like, after your nap, you can do the work. She was like, made the thing. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's great,
man. So where did your mom's little pastry mornings come from? That was just her sweet tooth, and she just decided, I think I'm gonna live.
I think that came from missing where she came from. So she came over to the States. When she married my dad, she spoke like 10 words of English, and she was already 32 or something, 33 maybe.
Right.
So she really was used to growing up in a whole different culture and world, and having that food readily available. And I think that sweet tooth that she was always trying to satiate with things here, ultimately you love what you grew up with, like, so.
Right.
I think no matter what she tried here, I mean, she loved desserts and pastries, but she was missing what she was used to, the food that she grew up with. So, yeah, she would have, like a lot of people, these cookbooks with handwritten notes, like that was like from her mother and her mother's mother, and it was all her little secret recipes on how to make these things. And then my mother would always do that thing of apologize for how bad her version is, and you could never compliment her that what she did was good,
Oh, really?
Yeah. When I think of my mother, that's what I think of being like, this was delicious. She's like, no, I'm no good at it, but if my sister was here, her version is good. And you're like, Mom, this is great. It's not great. Yeah, okay.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
But it was good.
It was good. And it was like, it's just her, you just know certain people's psychological makeup, and she's very, has that South American Catholic guilt and anxiety, and everything that she wants, whatever she likes, she doesn't deserve, and whatever she makes, it isn't good. Yeah, you're like, this is a really healthy way to look at things.
It's time for Breaking Bread with Papa. Hey!